Greetings, everybody. It is Thursday night, August 14th, 2014, and I want to take just a little bit to talk about some of the issues and the conversations that are arising from this situation that's going down in Ferguson, Missouri. And first off, just an initial disclaimer, this is a pretty unscripted conversation. I only have a bare bones informal outline to just make sure I hit some of the specific points that I want to. But largely, this is ad lib and off the cuff. So I'm going to do my best, I promise, not to mumble and stutter too much and ramble and that kind of thing. So anyway, having said that, what I do want to do is to get a little bit of help with summarizing the events that have transpired over the last couple of days. Russell Brand is going to help me do that from his YouTube channel and his show, The Truths. And then the specific things that I want to look at and talk about are issues surrounding excessive police force, police brutality, and how these things can lead or have led to protesting and rioting, and then what police response has been to those protests and to those riots. A lot of people are comparing what's happening now to incidences of this that have happened in the past, and I want to kind of touch on those comparisons as well to see what we can what kind of sense we can make out of that, and what we can learn from that, and how the game has changed a little bit now, and what I think is particularly dangerous and troubling about what has changed with the game now. So those are the main talking points that I want to get at with this conversation. But first of all, as I said, I want to turn over to Russell Brand, who is going to briefly summarize the events that have transpired over the last couple days from Ferguson.
4 days ago, a teenager called Michael Brown was shot there by the police, an unarmed teenager. Since then, there's been disturbances. Ferguson is a town with or a city or municipality with a primarily black population and a primarily white police force and system for government. There's been a great deal of unrest, comparable in some ways to the unrest that occurred in our country, England, when last year, or was it the year before, Mark Duggan was shot by the police. So let's have a look and see what the story is behind that story on The Truth today.
And just to be clear, as I understand it, Ferguson is a suburb of St. Louis in Missouri. So yeah, even Russell Brand is quite ready and quick to make a comparison with something that happened in England a year or two ago when the police force there shot and killed somebody. A lot of people are also drawing a comparison with what's happening in Ferguson now to what happened in Los Angeles back in 1992 with Rodney King and the police brutality that happened in that instance, and then the rioting that was a result of that. And I think to help contextualize that a little bit and to bring up some of the issues and the talking points, I want to turn to what is actually a really, really good film. I recommend everybody have a look at this. It's a film called American History X. And as you can see here, about a third of the way through the movie or so, there's a scene where this very, very topic comes up. And so, yeah, let's just take a look at this and see what they have to say about it.
The irony is that most of the stores that were destroyed during the riots were owned by black people.
That's stupid, though. I mean, why trash your own neighborhood?
Well, that's my point. It's an irrational act. It's like an expression of rage by people who feel neglected and turned away by the system.
Exactly. I mean, it's like we had in Watts or the riots in Chicago in '68.
It's crap. I don't buy that for a minute. Calling a riot an irrational expression of rage, that's such a cop-out. It's opportunism at its worst. It's a bunch of people grabbing any excuse they can find to go and loot a store. Nothing more. You know, the fact that these people ripped off the stores in their own communities, all that reflects is the degree to which these people have absolutely no respect for the law at all, and certainly no concept of, like, community or civic responsibility.
Wait a minute. White people commit crimes against white people, too.
Yeah, but they're not offing each other in record numbers all over America. Look at the statistics, for Christ's sakes. It's 1 in every 3 black males is in some phase of the correctional system. Is that a coincidence, or do these people have, you know, like a racial commitment to crime?
Not only that, they're proud of it.
Well, maybe it says something about prejudice in the judicial system.
Yeah, if you want to talk about criminal statistics, you might want to take a look at the social inequalities that produce them.
All right. Now, one of the things that I particularly like about that last point that the character Davina makes, where she says that if you want to take a look at criminal statistics, then we ought also to have a look at the social inequalities that produce those criminal statistics. That to me is an example of thinking that is not merely cause and effect thinking, but it's thinking that is more systematic thinking or chain reaction thinking, as opposed to saying like, well, there's this one cause and this one cause generates this one effect. Thinking like that, I believe is far too simplistic a mode to think about a situation that is as complicated, culturally complicated, socially complicated, and when you zoom out and look at the larger context, historically complicated as what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri right now. Simple cause and effect thinking is an ineffective mode to think about and analyze what's going on here. We need to have a mode of thinking that is more systematic, more chain reaction, as opposed to simple cause and effect. If you're interested more in about what I mean by systematic thinking or chain reaction thinking, then you can, I think, do a simple Google search for Neil deGrasse Tyson and chain reaction thinking, and he'll tell you all about what specifically that is that I'm talking about there. So with the idea, however, of systematic thinking and chain reaction thinking, I want to go back to Russell Brand's clip here from The Truths. Here's what Russell Brand has to say.
And in fact brought a lot of attention to the injustices that were being done. If in case an injustice has been done in this case, and we don't know the answer to that, we've got to let the process take place.
Look at the emphasis on the if it comes back as an injustice. Under what circumstances is it going to be acceptable that an unarmed black teenager was shot by the police authorities?
But if it has, by rioting, the people engaged in that are actually detracting from the actual injustice that was done. So they're not helping.
Of course, you know, if you believe in non-violence and I believe in non-violence, then yeah, you've got to absolutely believe in that protest should be non-violent. But in the face of that kind of provocation, you can understand it whilst not endorsing it. And see, what the problem is that the justice always comes at the end of the line. It's only with look at these people smashing up a shop. You've got to go, well, why are the people smashing up a shop? Well, most immediately, there's been an unarmed black teenager murdered. Oh yeah, but that's just an extreme example, and it's in isolation. No, it's part of a much broader historical and cultural narrative where poor people and disempowered people are exploited and oppressed the world over. So now, how do you feel about a few shops getting smashed up? Inevitable.
So indeed, there again we are at this idea of not just looking at a simple cause and effect relationship, but Russell Brand is urging us to zoom out, if you will, and look at the broader context. Think about things more in terms of this system that has generated this situation, chain reaction thinking, not cause and effect thinking. And again, specifically in this case, it's all about asking ourselves, what are these social inequalities that exist, that have produced this situation? And not just in terms of race either. We're also talking about in terms of wealth. In the United States, I think you would be hard pressed to argue a case where there does not exist racial and cultural inequality, along with financial inequality. And I also think that if you were to make a sort of a Venn diagram from those two topics, racial and cultural inequality and financial inequality, there's going to be quite a bit of overlap there. Now, all that aside, these are conversations that are readily happening on the web right now. To this point, I'm essentially just making connections and summarizing. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video here that one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, and this is going to be my addition to the conversation, is what has changed in the game now. In the American History X clip, they reference the Watts riots and then the Chicago riots in '68, and of course the clip itself is responding to the Rodney King beating and the riots that followed. And now here we're talking about this situation in 2014. What has changed? What I want to add to this conversation is a little bit of personal experience with a police agency, and to see if I can explore what it is that has changed the game between what's going on now and what has happened even in the recent past, just as early as 15 or 20 years ago. So I was once upon a time a cadet in the police academy here in Fresno, California. And initial disclaimer there, I did drop on request from that police academy. But I was there for a couple of weeks before I decided to make that decision. And incidentally, I dropped for a variety of reasons. I don't think I want to spend a lot of the time in the video getting into those specific reasons, but suffice to say, I was informed during my time at the academy that in order to advance in any police agency, you need to have some college degrees. And at the time that I was a cadet, I had not finished any of my college degrees. So it was really, really bad timing. That's one of the primary reasons why I decided to drop on request. But having said that, while I was there were a couple of interesting things that I observed that I want to share with you. The first of which is the surprising amount of people that were coming into police academy who had just finished their tours with the military. Many people were coming straight out of the Army, and many people were coming straight out of the Marines. And it's like they did their service, and then as soon as they finished their service, the opportunity for them to do something back home was to get into the police force. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but that to me that draws a little point of tension with this idea, and I may have the wrong idea on this, but I'm under the impression that our police forces are supposed to be police forces of civilians, right? We have civilians policing civilians, not military policing civilians. Now, this is also not to say that just because you've had a military background does not mean that in a police agency you're going to convert that agency into being a military organization. I don't mean to say that, but this is just one of a couple of observations that has made me head tilt a little bit. The other observation along those lines was that all of the leadership positions in my class and my group, if you will, were all given to people who had strong military backgrounds and who had leadership roles in their military service. So the way that the whole class was structured was that there would be a cadet who was kind of in charge of the whole unit. And then the whole unit was divided into subunits, into squads, and each squad had a squad leader. So in each and every one of those roles, again, it was filled by somebody who had a strong military background and who had a leadership role. in whatever military capacity that they served in. So again, this brings up a sort of tension with this idea that I have that our police agencies are of civilians, not of military people. So those observations in mind, when now I look at these two people in uniform, if I didn't know already that these were people who were in the police force in Ferguson, I would look at them and assume that these people are military, not police. Okay, just based on their attire, based on their armament, these people to me look military. They do not look like civilian peace officers or police officers. Now check this out.
Holy see, they're media too.
Right now. Okay, they're moving up the street.
We're moving up the street. It's not working. You've got a good sense of it. It's too pixelated.
So after launching what appeared to be tear gas at this news crew, you have two police officers over here who are in the process of tearing down their lighting equipment and their camera equipment back here. But what to me is especially upsetting about this frame and this situation is this guy right back here. Who, I mean, look at the background here. This is somebody's house. I mean, they're in a residential neighborhood. What could possibly necessitate all of this and this? Watch him. Now watch him take that camera pointed at the ground. Why are they doing this? Why aren't they allowing the media to be there? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. Correct me if I'm wrong. But to me, it looks like we have a militarized police force who are one, preventing people from exercising their constitutional right of assembly, and also preventing people from exercising their constitutional right of the freedom of the press. This, to me, is very, very upsetting and shocking.
I'll get behind something.
Every day they can possibly make. Here they come. Here they come. They're coming up the street this way.
Okay, now watch what happens here. Listen closely to what the police officers are telling these people with cameras.
Well, they're partially over here and partially over there.
We walked in.
All
right, well, then you guys can follow us out. You guys can walk out. Stay at the corner until we get these two cars packed up. Stand right at the street corner. We will follow you out.
We're okay here.
We don't want you here.
Stand right at the street corner and we'll follow you out. We're okay here. We don't want you here.
Okay.
Somebody's going to get hurt. We don't want to see you guys get hurt.
Our cars the other direction.
Which way?
Okay. Do they really not want to see people get hurt? Perhaps. But why else doesn't the police want them there? So that they can do shit like this? That's something that I think is worth thinking about, worth talking about. Not only are we once again in this situation where social inequalities, racial inequalities, and financial inequalities has generated a volatile situation, but now it's being met with a police force that has become increasingly militarized, and to the point where they don't want the media to be there to see what's going on so that the rest of us can see what's going on. Well, beyond that, I'm not sure what else I can add to the conversation at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this video, which has gone on for far longer than I expected it to, and look forward to reading your comments if you care to share any. Also, of course, I'll leave links in the description of the video for all of the relevant sources, so you can go in and check out this webpage or this article from ksdk.com, as well as find Russell Brand's video and his channel on YouTube. So, anyway, having said all of that, hoping for the best for everybody out in Ferguson, Missouri. And I hope that sooner than later we can come to senses of mutual understanding and peace through what is really a tragic and bad situation. So good luck and best wishes to everybody out there.